Hello everyone, welcome to this third episode on Anubhav Learning series sessions in which we are talking about chart controls. In our last two sessions, we have discussed about the concept of analytics and also prepared the OData service which will supply data to our chart controls. If you are watching this video directly, I would recommend you to go and check part 1 and part 2 of this video series. I will put the link into the description of this video for part 1 and part 2. Before we start today's session, I would like to quickly request all of you to please subscribe onto this YouTube channel for Anubhav Oberoi, where you will find latest up-to-date information on greatest technologies and all the technical learning which you would need today to be able to perform well in your job. We are bringing these videos free of cost to all of you. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to this next session on Anubhav Learning series with me. We are discussing in this series of videos about chart controls in SAP UI5. By far, in the first three parts, we discussed about how to create our OData service for the chart data. What is the chart? What is analytics? What is measures and attributes along with the dimensions? And in the last session, we have built our Fiori application to display one of the chart. In this session, which is a continuation of part 3, in terms of part 4, we will discuss about dividing our screen into 4 parts and building and adding variety of charts. Together with that, we will look at one of the most powerful control called Suit U, which is part of the Suit UI family, which is called chart container, which will then contain our chart at runtime, which gives us extra options. So let's get started. So by far, what we have got is, if you just quickly go back, this is the screen we had produced, sales per customer. Yeah, that's the screen we had produced by far. So now it's time that we divide our whole screen into 4 parts. And for that, now the best thing which we will use is to make use of the layout. So you can see we want the screen to be like this. We want to divide it into 4 parts. So for that, let's go back. And now we will utilize here the layouts. So let's come back. And I will add here the layout dependency, sap.ui.layout class. And now below section, we will start using a layout. So which layout do we use? Go back to SAP UI5 SDK. And here we search for something called row layout. Block layout. Yeah. So block layout allows you to create blocks of sections on the same screen. So we'll be creating 4 blocks, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. So every block will have records, rows, and those rows will have then cells inside. Yeah. So this is how the block layout looks like. Maybe you can just quickly go to some sample from here and then check it out. How does a block layout typically looks like? Yeah. So let us check this. So you can see this is how a block layout looks like. So we can divide the screen into multiple blocks, multiple cells. So if you see here, just to explain you, this whole thing is a row of the block. Yeah. And then we have 3 cells, cell number 1, cell number 2, and cell number 3. Similarly, we then have another line, another row of the block, which is this one. This is another row of the block, which is then again have 2 cells, cell number 1 and cell number 2. So that's how the block layout is created and used. So now we will go back and we will utilize the block layout to just simply create a nice, beautiful records rows, and in those rows we will add the cells. So let me come down, and in the content area we will start with layout library dependency, and I'll add a block layout. I'll say background. You can give a colored background, but I want to give a background like a dashboard because we are actually creating a dashboard. And I'll say please make it visible as true, which is by default is a true. And now inside this we will add the content aggregation, and then first it starts with the row. So let's start with the block row. block layout row, and each of the row which I will create, I will be adding cells inside. So let's add the content of the row, and now inside this I will create two cells. Block layout cell ID, I will give the ID of the cell. I'll just give the width as 1, and now inside this we will add the content. Let's add another cell with width 1, but cell ID is going to be different. So I've got cell 2. So cell 1, cell 2, cell 1, cell 2, like that. So this is going to, how it is going to produce is, it will get one block row, and that will have two cells like this. Nice. So here we'll get our first chart, here we get second chart. But hold on, we want 4 charts. So we will also get now one more row like this, where we add 2 more block cells inside, where we get our third chart and fourth chart. Awesome, isn't it? Yeah, easy. So let's go back and add a similar record, a similar row, and I'm going to add my third cell and fourth cell. So that's my third cell, and this is going to be my fourth cell. So we got 4 cells. Now, hey, what? It's so easy now. It's just simply you got to drag drop your chart. So drag it up from there and drop it inside your first cell. Beautiful. Let's bring it on. That's the chart which we created in part 3. Those who have not seen my part 3 video, please go back and check the part 3. I will put the description, I will put the link of that video in the description of this video. You can go back and check that, how to create a V-frame. Awesome. So that's our first chart in the first cell. Nice. Look at here. Amazing. Beautiful. Now it's time to also add the second cell, which is going to be my next chart. So let's add another chart here. So I just made a copy of our existing chart, but what changes now here is the type of the chart. So I will create a column chart, and this is going to represent my total sales by, which is my second entity set as we created, and I want sales by product. So sales by product, and now here this is going to be product category, and then of course this is what links to this one. Superb. That's our second entity set binding, guys, with the product based sales. Superb. Let's minimize. So now first block row is complete. Let's minimize this up. Makes your complexity pretty easy. Now coming down to the next one, here we will be adding a pie chart. So I want to bring another chart, another V-frame, which is similar to this one. So let's bring it on, this V-frame as it is. Of course, keep changing the frame IDs, otherwise it will have ID conflict and you will get into errors. So second V-frame was that, and now it's time to get the third V-frame. So my third V-frame is going to be a pie chart. So come here and I say this is going to be my pie chart, but this is going to represent sales in currencies. Of course, I also missed out to change the chart title for our second chart over there in the second cell. Yeah, sales per category. Superb. Now, as I mentioned, what is the role of making it as a pie chart? Now, the moment you make it as a pie chart, it's quite important that you just go ahead and change the UID. So UID will be, we have to change the UID, and then we will also have to give the color, right? So that's what we have to do. So let's go back, and in the feed here you see this will be changed to sales will be changed to the size and the color, and this one will change to color. But remember, we are showing now sales per currencies, so the entity set name for that is currency set. Let's bind to that, very important. And of course here this is going to be currency. I will also share this complete source code with all of you. You can download this source code and try it out, this logic. Please check the description of this video where the link of this source code is also placed on my exclusive learning series. All right, let's come back. And now it's time to add the last chart, which is going to be a donut. I want to add donut chart in my last cell over here. Of course, change the wish frame number 4. And this is going to be sales per, what was my last entry set? Sales per country. And now we will just go ahead and change here this country. So the label gets changed. And of course, the entity set name is sales country set. Nice. So we've got 4 blocks now, and we've got everything pretty nice. And now let's go back and quickly check the output. I'm going to come and refresh my page. We should see 4 different blocks. Yes, there you go. You've got 4 different blocks here, but oops, it's not displaying the data. Yeah. So what is that which has gone wrong? Maybe. So looks like it's an issue here with some kind of width and height property. Maybe we will go back and check. And yes, I guess, right. Since we have made the property as 100% for the wish frame, system is not able to accommodate the same into the block, and that's why it's going out of the focus, out of the block. Yeah. So let's remove this width and height property for all our frames quickly. I'm just going to come down for the second one, and then comes is the third one. And let's go to the last one. Super. Save this up. Let's come back to the app, and now I will refresh the app. And there you go. You can see the whole screen is now filled with our charts. But as you can see, the second block is going out of the focus. So basically, we need to now arrange these blocks under the proper blocks, and that block is something called chart container. So what we will do is we will utilize a chart container object at runtime, and that chart container object is going to position my my blocks properly. So for that, we will go back to the controller of our application, and we will be writing here a reusable method to basically set those set the property for the chart object. So what I'll do is I will say please adjust my chart box, and in this I will be passing, we will make it reusable, so we'll pass the view object, we will pass the ID of the chart, we will pass the ID of the block. This is going to be completely reusable method. So what I will do is I will just tell the system, hey, please load a library. And the library which we would like to load is SAP UI Commons Chart Container Library as a dependency. And all the dependencies should be loaded on the top. And we'll just say SAP slash suit UI Commons Chart Container. Save this up and just add chart container. There you go. And now we will use this chart container over here as part of my adjust chart box. So we will create an instance of chart container class, new chart container object. Yeah. And remember that this new chart container object is going to have a content inside. So that content is nothing but chart container content. Yeah. Now, what is the chart container content? It's again an object, chart container content object, which is another dependency. Content. Let's add this dependencies here. And let's create a new object of chart container content. So come here, var o chart container content equals to new container content object, and this container content object we will just put our frame. Yeah, so let's add the content for this is going to be my viz frame. But this viz frame is nothing but the object of your frame. So for that we just say v o view dot by id, and I will pass my s chart id. So this gives me the viz frame object, and that viz frame object we put it in the container contained object, and that we will put in the container finally. And we will simply now set the property for the container object. So there are certain properties it offers us with which we can enable the full screen mode. So set show full screen, that button you saw when I was showing you the demo. So that is the one. And then we say set auto adjust height. Also to true for my chart. Now we will be just we will be placing our content there for chart container. So let's say oview dot by id, my block id, and in this I will say add content, and we will be adding here our chart container. That's so nice. And now let us go ahead and check it out. What does it produces for us? Okay, so now we will just go back, and of course we have to call this API, and let's do it on initialization. And during initialization we will just call this dot my adjust box, and we will pass the instance of the view as well as our control IDs quickly here. So let's get the view object, var o view equals to this dot get view, and now inside this we will pass all the IDs. So we will pass the view ID, view object basically, not the ID. Then we'll pass the chart ID and we'll pass the block ID. So my first chart ID is viz frame 1, and my block ID is cell 1. Now similarly I have 4 blocks, so call this 4 times, completely reusable. This is how you should modularize your code, and we will actually learn it in our UI5 and Fiori course. If you attend that course, you will understand how we write the code there to modularize our code. Now let's come back and check the response. So earlier you saw the response was pretty bad in shape. You were having all these charts going out of the screen, and I'll just quickly refresh. And oops, we have a problem. Let's press F12, and you see there's an error in the console somewhere. Set which properties of null. Cannot read properties, set which properties of null. So there is some problem in our code. So what is that gone wrong? And it has something to do with chart container, as you can see. So let's go and check it out. Switch back, and I think I have done a mistake here with regard to my ID of the viz frames. Let's go back and check the view, and yes, you can see the IDs are ID viz frame 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the typical use case of IDs typo. And yeah, let's fix it up. Save this up. Let's go back and re-execute our application where there was an error. We'll come back and refresh. And now, beautiful, there you go. You can see exactly the same screen which we are expecting on our UI. Now you get all these features out of the chart container out of the box. You can see I can just hide and show these legends. I can just zoom in and zoom out of my chart. I can have this full screen toggle mode where I can quickly toggle my charts nicely. Very beautiful. Yeah. So all these benefits we get out of the box with the help of it. If you like this example, please like this video. Please subscribe on this channel so that we can bring more and more content to you like this. Don't forget to hit the bell icon and feel free to download the source code from the description of this video. With that, Anubhav signing out. Thank you so much and goodbye.